For a scrumptious bite that combines two fun party foods, I am making pizza, wait for it, Latkes. They are classic, crispy, golden brown potato pancakes topped with tomato sauce, fresh mozz, and dollops of herby pesto. They are so addictively good. I've already got my potatoes, garlic, and onion shredded and in my cheesecloth. And I'm doing a super crucial step for potato pancakes, which is that I've tossed everything in salt and allowed them to drain to get rid of any excess moisture. And now I'm just squeezing as much moisture as I can out of the potato. And this is gonna ultimately make for a perfectly crispy latke. Don't skimp on this step. I'll pour all this water out of the bowl. And then what's left here is this fun layer of potato starch. I'm gonna leave it in the bowl because when that gets incorporated in with the potato pancake mixture, it actually helps the crispiness. I'll dump in the potatoes. I'll squeeze in some lemon juice, which will add some nice brightness, as well as help prevent the potatoes from oxidizing. 4 whole eggs to bind these together. I know some people who only use egg whites in their latkes to make them even crispier, but I kind of like a little bit of richness from the yolk. My ideal latke is still a little bit soft and creamy on the inside. 2/3 of a cup of panko breadcrumbs gives some nice structure and helps bind everything together. Black pepper. And then because I'm pizzafying these latkes, I'll add in some pizza seasoning, dried oregano, and crushed red pepper. I love these two sprinkled on top of my pizza. I'll stir these around to thoroughly combine. Growing up, we usually used the box mix to make latkes. I was never that wild about them, and it wasn't until I tasted my ex-boyfriend's dad's recipe in college that I realized what a latke could taste like at the height of its potential. These things were hockey pucks that were golden and so crispy on the outside. They had this shell, and then on the inside, they were soft and creamy. They were so good. They just totally raised the bar for a latke in my mind. And a few years ago, I was looking for things to do with leftover latkes because I made so many of them. I started reheating them in the oven with pizza toppings on top, and they were so good. This is combined. This mixture looks great. I'll get my ice cream scoop and portion out heaping mounds into a 1/4 inch of oil that I have preheating on medium-high, pressing down gently to compact them. I'll drop in a few more. I'll fry these for a few minutes per side until they're deeply golden and so crispy. I'll address the elephant in the room, which is to say that I pronounce it latke. If you're from Chicago or parts of Boston, you're probably nodding your head saying, like, yeah, of course, latkes. If you're from anywhere else in the country, you're probably like, what the heck are you even talking about? Because it's a latke. But listen, tomato, tomato, this is how I say it. I'm very sorry. Not sorry. They're all delicious no matter what. Let's just be friends. This one's ready to flip. I can see its golden brown edges all around. That is a perfect golden brown surface of a latke. This one's ready too. All right, flip this last one. Oh yeah, so golden. That's the gold standard, no pun intended. I'll get these out of the fryer now. And I'll transfer them to a wire rack, which allows them to stay crispy on the bottom. While they're still hot, I'll sprinkle with a little more salt and then fry up a few more batches and be ready to pizzafy. Pizza time. You can top these however you want. The options are endless. I'm going classic with red sauce, and I'm not going all the way to the edge because I want to still have a lot of those crispy edges, as is the essence of a good latke. These will be like cute handheld pizzas. And mozzarella. I love fresh mozzarella. The way that it just drapes itself over the latke is gonna be so nice. This will get so melty with the crispiness of the latke. It's gonna be heaven. I'll get these into the oven at 450 degrees for about 7 minutes until the cheese is melty and splotchy. I'm dreaming of cheese pulls already. Smells like pizza. Smells like potatoes. My nose is a little confused, but I like it. Ooh. They're so melty, and I'm loving the splotches. I'll finish with some dollops of pesto, packed with flavor, so herby and fresh. Crushed red pepper, Loads of Parmesan, which not only adds that umami Parmesan flavor, it also seasons the mozzarella, which is so important since the mozzarella is so mild. And lastly, some torn fresh basil. I am loving the colors of these. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, I'm diving in. Here I go. It's melty, it's herby from that pesto, it's crispy and salty. This is potato pizza perfection. My latkes with greens and an egg. I'm starting with a very important step to achieving a crispy latke. I'm wringing all the moisture that I possibly can out of 1 pound of shredded potato and a yellow onion. I've tossed them with salt, and that also helps bring the moisture out. And I've allowed them to sit for half an hour, and now I'm just squeezing all of this to get it dry. I have this in a cheesecloth here, but you could also use a clean dish towel. I'm just using my muscle. This is looking good. I'll squeeze in 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice for some brightness, and it'll prevent it from oxidizing because when they oxidize, they could turn a little gray. I'll crack in an egg to help bind the mixture together, a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. You're basically creating a batter that encases all of the shredded potato. Some black pepper. I'll stir it to combine. This is fully combined. I'm ready to fry. I have a generous layer of neutral oil in my pan, heating up until it sizzles. So to test, I'll take a strand of potato and drop it in. And if it sizzles immediately, just like that, that's how I know that the oil is hot enough. So I'll get my scooper to ensure that these are all uniformly sized and flatten it out. And I'm going for about a 3-inch circle, something that'll be perfectly sized when it's topped with a small pile of salad and a soft cooked egg. I'll scoop in 2 more. That'll give these enough space to cook evenly all over. I definitely do not want to crowd the pan with these. I'll cook these over medium-high heat for 2 to 3 minutes on each side until they're golden and crispy. I'm seeing some golden edges. I think these are ready to flip. Oh yeah, that one looks good and it feels crispy. Okay, I want this exact golden brown crispiness on the other side now, so I'll keep these going for another few minutes. This is 1 crispy latke. I'll transfer it to a wire rack so that any excess oil can drip off. And then while they're still hot, I'll sprinkle them with some flaky salt so you get added saltiness and crunch on the outside. And now I'll keep on frying my latkes and then toss up a salad to go on top. This dressing is super bright. It cuts the richness of the latke really nicely. I'll make it right in the same bowl that I'll toss my greens into. I'll start with 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. That good zing. Clears out your sinuses. 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar for crucial acidity. And then I'll whisk this as I drizzle in 3 tablespoons of olive oil so that it emulsifies and thickens. I'll toss in a thinly sliced shallot for a little bit of sweetness. And my mixed greens. Get these fully coated in the dressing, get them good and glossy. And as I toss, I'll also season with some flaky salt. I love that added crunch of the flaky salt. I'll season with some pepper. Make sure everything is good and coated. That's ready to go. I'll slice my 6-minute eggs. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at this. That is a perfect runny egg. You don't need sour cream. You don't need applesauce. Just a runny egg yolk. Look how gorgeous that is. I'll season them with salt and pepper. And put this platter together. Latkes down first. I'm very excited about the contrast of the hot, salty latke and the cooling, crunchy salad and then the yolk. I'll pile on some salad. So you get the best of both worlds, something fried and something fresh. And I'll nestle in the eggs. Oh yeah, these are gorgeous. They're party ready. And I have worked up such an appetite making them. I'm going right in. No offense to sour cream and applesauce, but there's a new latke in my life, and it is excellent. Latkes are a traditional Hanukkah fritter, and typically they're made with potatoes, but this year I'm putting a twist on them and making them with Brussels sprouts. Oh, I'm so excited about them. I'll use 4 egg whites, and I'm only using the egg whites because they make the latkes extra light and crispy. A squeeze of lemon juice will brighten up the Brussels sprout flavor. And I'll whisk this to combine, and then I will add my Brussels sprouts. Now, Brussels sprouts you can either buy shredded or shred them in a food processor or even by hand. And it's important to get them nice and finely shredded so that they cook when they're in the pan. Okay, and for added flavor, I'm gonna chop up an onion and some garlic to go into my mixture. I wanna make sure that I'm adding some bold flavors so that they come through against that fried crust. I'll toss this mixture together and get it evenly coated with the egg whites. Next, I'll add my dry ingredients, all-purpose flour, and this will help thicken up these latkes and bind them all together. Some salt to season it, black pepper, and just a touch of heat with some crushed red pepper. Yum. And now I'll mix this to combine and then we'll be ready to fry. I'm gonna get a nice healthy layer of oil into my frying pan. And then I'm gonna get this hot at medium-high. Okay, I'm gonna check to see if the oil's hot enough by dropping in a strand of Brussels sprout and seeing if it sizzles. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That oil is hot, the Brussels sprout is sizzling. I'm ready to fry my latkes. And I'll drop in scoops of the mixture, allowing about an inch of space in between them. And I'm gonna use my spatula to pack it together so that it all sticks. And if any pieces start to come apart, you can just use a spatula to help it back together. I can smell the crispy shell forming. I'll pan fry them for about 2 minutes on each side until they're golden and crispy. I'm gonna flip this one. Oh my gosh, that one looks so good. And then I'll transfer them to my rack over a pan, and that's gonna keep them crispy. These are gonna be so good. And because I'm not serving these for a little while, I'm gonna keep them warm in my oven. And now these are gonna be great by themselves, but what's gonna bring them over the edge is my balsamic Dijon sour cream. Simply combine sour cream, Dijon mustard, honey, and balsamic vinegar. Today, we are going to be making my peppermint latke ice cream sundaes. These are a variation on the latkes that I make every year for Hanukkah, and they're inspired by that really delicious thing where you dip your fries in the milkshake. So it's that delicious combination of salty and sweet, and I think you're gonna love them. If you're cooking along with me, get the shredding attachment hooked up to your food processor, and then also have some cheesecloth sitting in a strainer that's set above a bowl. Let's get started. Put the top on your food processor, and now we're gonna shred up our russet potatoes, and I don't even peel them. The peel looks really pretty, and it's fiber, and it's easier if you just skip the peeling. And if you don't have a food processor with a shredder attachment, you could also grate these by hand on the big holes of a box grater or use a mandolin. I just use a food processor because it is so darn quick and easy. Now, once all of your potatoes are shredded, you can dump the potatoes into the cheesecloth lined strainer. How pretty do your potatoes look? I love these big, thick strands of shredded potato. So dump the potatoes right in. And now I want you to sprinkle with a few good pinches of kosher salt. And what the salt is gonna do is it's gonna draw out the moisture in the potato strands, and that moisture is gonna fall down to the bowl. And drawing the moisture out of the potatoes is gonna help get a crispy latke. So for me, the ideal latke is crispy on the outside and still a little bit soft and creamy on the inside. And so in order to get that creaminess, I do not want you to skip this step. I also want you to grab your lemon. Adding lemon juice to this mixture is gonna prevent the potatoes from oxidizing and turning that weird grayish brownish color. So give it a roll, which will help release its juices, and then cut it in half and squeeze it right over the potatoes. And you can put your hand underneath when you're squeezing it to catch any of the lemon seeds. And just let the juice fall through your fingers. And you can toss the potatoes around to make sure that the salt and the lemon juice gets evenly distributed. And then let this sit for a bit to allow that moisture to come out. Now, as your potato mixture is sitting, you can get your oil heating up. So get a nice large frying pan heating up over medium-high, and then add a thick layer of oil, about 1/4 inch thick. And I'm using just a neutrally flavored oil here, any that has a high smoke point. So canola oil or vegetable oil will work. And when I was little, I was never patient enough to let the oil heat up. And you know where that got me? It got me really soggy, oily latkes. You don't want that. You want your oil to be hot enough so that it fries your latkes up really nice and crispy. So gather the cheesecloth by the ends and use your hands to squeeze out any of that excess moisture. You see all of that coming out of there? We're earning our latkes. Once you've squeezed out as much moisture as you can, get rid of it. And then we're gonna use this same bowl to mix up the rest of our mixture. So add the potato mixture to the bowl. And then grab your 2 eggs. And these are gonna help the latke mixture stay together. And then also add 1/3 cup of flour. And this will also help the mixture stay all together. And now mix it up. So latkes are the quintessential Hanukkah food. On Hanukkah, it's tradition to eat foods that are fried in oil to commemorate the miracle of Hanukkah. Traditionally, latkes are served with sour cream and applesauce, but there's 8 nights of Hanukkah, and so usually by the 8th night, I'm looking for other fun ways to eat my latkes. And that's when I came up with this Latke Sundae. Once your mixture is combined, you can test to see if your oil is hot enough, and to do that, grab 1 strand of the potato and then add it to the oil, and if it sizzles, it's ready. That's a nice little sizzle. I think we're ready. Grab an ice cream scoop. And I like using an ice cream scoop because it's easier to portion out the latkes so that they're all evenly sized. And then cram your mixture into a scoop. And then gently add to the pan. We'll do a few more and fry these in batches. It's important not to overcrowd the pan because if you do, it'll lower the temperature of the oil and then it'll make your latkes taste oily and soggy. Grab your spatula. You can use your spatula to flatten them out slightly. Don't flatten them out too much because a thick latke is a good latke. I like about a 1/2 inch thick of a latke. Now once these are all flattened out, you're gonna let these fry on both sides until they're golden brown and crispy. So a few minutes on each side. So if you guys are hosting big parties this year for the holidays, latkes are actually the type of thing that can be prepped ahead. What you want to do is once you're done frying your latkes, transfer them directly to a pan that's lined with foil. You don't want that excess oil to drip off. You want to keep it. What you do is you put the latkes in the refrigerator or the freezer until it's party time, and then when it's party time, reheat them in the oven, and that excess oil will actually re-fry the edges of the latkes and make them hot and crispy again. The hardest part for me in this recipe is being patient and letting the latkes get golden and crispy. It's always worth it. So don't fuss with them too much. Just let them do their magic. So when you have a beautiful brown color on the bottom of your latke, you can carefully flip it over and get that same gorgeous color on the other side. Ah, how perfect is that? Do yours look nice and golden brown? I hope so. These look gorgeous, and now we're gonna let these cook for a few minutes on the other side until they're just as golden. These have reached peak crispiness on both sides. They're ready to come out of the pan. And transferring them to a wire rack is gonna allow any excess oil to drip off, and it's gonna help keep them crispy on the bottom. Oh, these look delicious. I hope yours do too. I've got enough latkes here to make our sundae, but if you want to make more, press pause now, keep on frying in batches, and then meet back up when you're ready. It's time to assemble. Grab your chocolate ice cream, or any flavor of ice cream will do, and some chocolate sauce, whipped cream, all of your favorite sundae toppings. I'm very excited to eat these. I hope you are too. So, to assemble, put a couple of latkes on a plate. Grab an ice cream scoop. And add a big scoop of ice cream onto each latke. And you gotta work fast because you want the latkes to stay hot and the ice cream to stay cold. Get some whipped cream on there. Oh yeah, good work. Chocolate sauce. Nice drizzly drizz. And peppermint around the holidays is gorgeous and perfect, and it adds great crunch. So sprinkle a few of those on there as well. How pretty are these? The unicorn of all holiday desserts, my peppermint latke ice cream sundae. I'm gonna dig in right now. These get a little messy in the best way possible. It's so good. They're salty and crispy and creamy and sweet. I love these a latke, and I hope you do too. It's Passover, and I'm whipping up my giant skillet latke, which is a huge crispy potato pancake topped with smoked salmon and all of its tasty friends. To get going on my latke mixture, I'm gonna shred up 2 russet potatoes, and then I'll also add half of a yellow onion. I'm ready to shred these up. I'm gonna shred them right in my food processor. The whole process is so easy that way. Okay, done. Easiest shredding ever. Let me get my bowl. So always when making latkes, it's important to draw as much moisture out of the potatoes as possible, and that'll ensure an extra crispy latke. So it's something that can't be rushed. I've got a strainer sitting in my bowl, and I've lined the strainer with a clean kitchen towel. You can also use a cheesecloth. And I'll pour this mixture right in, and then I'll add a few good pinches of salt, which will help draw the moisture out of the potatoes. All right, this is looking good. I'll set this aside to drain while I put together the rest of my latke mixture. I've got a lemon, some matzo meal, and a couple of eggs. I'll crack these right in. I'll add half a cup of matzo meal, which will help bind the latke. And matzo meal is just ground up matzah. It's the smell of Passover and the smell of spring. The zest and juice of half a lemon. Zest before you juice. It's really hard to zest a juiced lemon. I'll season with salt and pepper. And then I'll chop up some fresh dill. It goes beautifully with the salmon that's gonna go on top. I'll toss this in. I'll mix this around. Okay, this is looking good. I'm gonna check on my potatoes. Oh yeah, a lot of liquid has come out of them. I'm gonna give them a squeeze to make sure every last bit of moisture has been exiled. I want this to be extra crispy. It's a good arm workout. I think that's all I have the strength for. I'll toss these right in. I'll mix this all together. I'm gonna stick this in the fridge for about 30 minutes so that everything can melt, and then that's gonna help it hold its shape once I fry it up. My mixture is set and I'm ready to fry. I'll heat up my skillet and I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of oil. I'm gonna add the mixture right to the center, carefully because I don't want the oil to splatter. Ooh, that's a good sizzle. And I'll press it out evenly all the way to the edge of the skillet. All right, this is patted out. I'll let it sizzle for 5 minutes on the stove and then stick it in the oven at 350 degrees for 10 minutes, and then it'll be ready to flip. My Latkes out of the oven, the edges are golden, so I know it's time to flip. Now I find it's easiest to invert it onto a plate and then slide it back in. It just ensures that it won't break. This is hot, so I'm gonna be really careful. Here we go. Ah, look how pretty that is. I've gotta get it golden on the other side now, so I'll gently slide it back into the skillet. I'll let this finish up its cooking in the oven for another 10 minutes while I gather my toppings. I'm gonna check on my latke. Oh, this looks great and crispy. And now I'm gonna make it look even better with all these colorful toppings. I'll start with a few dollops of creme fraiche for a nice cooling creaminess, some folds of smoked salmon, sliced medium boiled eggs, a few shakes of hot sauce, sliced scallions, and dill for pops of green, and then I'll finish with flaky salt and pepper. Okay, this is gorgeous. I'm going to sneak a taste. Oh, I can hear how crispy that is. This giant latke is the hash brown of my dreams. My potato latkes with caramelized onion sour cream are to die for. They're crispy and golden on the outside, but thick enough so that the innards are like still a little creamy. You're getting multiple textures in each bite. I'm gonna eat so many of these. To start, I'm shredding up some potatoes in my food processor. This is the quickest, easiest way to do them, and I don't even peel my potatoes. I love the texture of the peels, and they're really pretty that way. I like using russets because they're really sturdy. They're gonna hold up to all that frying. I'm also gonna add 2 onions that I'm gonna add right to the food processor. I'll quarter them first so that they fit. And you can shred potatoes by hand, but it is much faster to just do this in the food processor. Filling the onion juices in the air. For extra flavor, I'm also gonna add 4 cloves of garlic. I'll just toss these right in. Now, one step that is key to a crispy latke is drawing the moisture out of the potatoes. So I've got a strainer here with some cheesecloth over it, and it's set over a bowl to catch all the moisture. I'm gonna pour these into my strainer with the cheesecloth in it. Look at those beautiful thick shreds of potato. And now we'll toss this with salt, and the salt is gonna help draw that moisture out. I'm making sure that the salt gets evenly distributed, and just a few good big pinches will do. I'm gonna let this sit now for 30 minutes to let the moisture come out of the potatoes. Be patient with this step. It's worth it in the name of a crispy latke. My mom's the OG latke expert of the family.
Oh, thank you.
So will you help me make these?
Of course.
They should be ready to go. We can mix up the remaining mixture.
Okay.
So in this big bowl, we're gonna add 4 eggs.
Okay.
Do you wanna grab a fork and you can mix them as I crack?
Absolutely.
You wanna add the potato mixture.
Okay.
You can dump that right in. I'm gonna add some lemon juice, and the lemon juice is gonna prevent the potato from turning gray.
And also add that nice hit of acid, which is the best.
Next, I'm gonna chop up some scallions to add. You wanna season with some pepper.
Okay.
And there's still a lot of salt left over from when the potatoes drained,
so no more
we don't
salt.
need to add more salt. I'm gonna grab the breadcrumbs.
Okay.
Let me grab that measuring cup. I'm gonna add 2/3 of a cup of panko breadcrumbs. I have my oil heating up here. So to test that the oil is hot enough, you can just add a strand of potato, and if it sizzles, it's ready. I'm gonna add a big scoop of the potato mixture to the oil. I'll smash them down, and then I always like to use my spatula to help shape them into a round puck. My mom is finishing frying the latkes, and now they just need a topping. I got a head start this morning with some caramelized onions, which were super easy. I just added a little oil in a pan over medium-high heat, tossed in a yellow onion with a little salt and sugar, and cooked down for about 45 minutes until they were deep golden brown and sweet. Then I added a few cloves of minced garlic and cooked that with the onions until it became fragrant and irresistible. And now I'm gonna add about a cup of sour cream. I'm gonna add some onion powder to the sour cream, which is gonna punch up that oniony flavor. And then I'll also season with salt and pepper.
These look amazing. Look at that. Look at that color.
They look incredible. I cannot wait to eat those.
They're beautiful.
Got a little salt on this one.
What a team we make.
I'm gonna finish the sour cream with some chopped scallions.
Gorgeous.
Oh yeah, this looks great.
I love that they're thicker than the ones we used to make. This is so much better.
Yeah, hockey puck size is the perfect size.
Definitely.
For a latke.